sick.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Backstage Brainrot, a podcast where we talk about having a disability and trying to navigate the alternative scene. And today's episode is all about the difference between getting diagnosed 18 years ago over someone who's got diagnosed the last year. And I am with an amazing guest. This is Kirby. Hi, Kirby.
Hello.
And I really wanted the first episode to be based on this because it's such an important topic that not a lot of people talk about. Because if you've been diagnosed a long time, it almost becomes second nature. Whereas someone who's just been diagnosed, you're almost left all by yourself. You get a diagnosis and then suddenly you get no support. Does that sound realistic?
Yeah, definitely. I kind of got a diagnosis and I've been just left with, you gotta learn how to cope.
And it sucks as well because if you're not aware of the help out there, then you're just not aware. There's no one telling you. And there really needs to be something out there where a doctor or whoever, what department you're with, goes, and here's the support networks you can access.
Yes. I think I literally got given a group like a group meeting where they basically were like, here's some of the things you might get help with, but they'll decide if you need that help at your next assessment. And that assessment isn't for about 15 to 18 months. So you just gotta learn to live with it until then, and then we might help you. And I was just like, oh, okay, fab, great.
And in a group situation as well with people you don't know, and
Yeah.
then you're sharing the fact that you have this shared diagnosis, it can be quite intimidating, I feel.
Yeah, it's one of those, it goes either one of two ways. Like you either end up connecting because you have that same
Yeah.
diagnosis, or you just get a bit weird because you're like they don't have the same like problems as me. And
Yeah.
sometimes you get that thing of, well, I'm worse than them, and you have the people paying shock trumps, which then becomes another problem in itself.
It is very difficult. And for the first, real question, I'd like to ask, do you remember your first alternative gig and what the planning was like around that?
So I saw Bring Me the Horizon. I can't remember what year it was, and all I remember is booking the tickets and then getting on a train and going. There was no thought to it. There was just, we book it, the date comes round, and then I just went. Like, I didn't have to think about, is there going to be any accessible kind of stuff there? It was just go and enjoy myself.
I think that's the struggle as well. It's having the fact that buying tickets online, although stressful in that queue, you can just as soon as you're in through the queue, book it, sort it, plan the hotel.
Yeah,
But having a disability, you really do have to think of the distance, the struggle, the
yeah,
overstimulation. It really does feel like you are running a marathon sometimes.
yeah. Now I have to think about, okay, how far is it? How long is it going to take to get there? Can I take my stick with me? How am I going to feel the next day? Like, I've got a couple of gigs in November this year, and I've already planned, like, booked time off round it because I know I'm going to be so fatigued afterwards that I can't work. So I've already booked that time off to, like, preemptively plan a flare up, basically.
I think that's such a struggle as well because it's almost you'll have to take more time off work and plan it around your schedule because
Yes.
you've got a disability. And that's something a lot of people don't even think about because it doesn't happen to
Yeah.
you.
Like, I'm using my holiday to recover, to still, like, be able to live my life. I have to then use my holiday to have a rest day. And it's just like, people don't realize that.
It is not something that is talked about. And, before we kind of go into that, I would really love to know more about your kind of life story and before you had a disability and how that started happening. Like, could you tell me more?
Yeah, so I mean, before all of it, I was a very athletic person. I've done a triathlon, I did a half marathon, I used to exercise 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day, swimming, running, cycling, all of it. Like, it was my way of keeping my mental health in track, because I struggled massively with that as long as I can remember. But exercise was something that helped me keep in control. And then I just one day woke up and had a cyst that had got infected. And started off as just a normal infection, took some antibiotics, didn't get any better, started getting more swollen, more infected, ended up in hospital. Even though I'd been on antibiotics, all my infection markers were through the roof, like they just wasn't
Yeah.
getting better. So they decided to drain it. So they drained it. I was left with an open wound. which in itself is horrible.
Yeah.
It just wasn't healing either, which then led to me being diagnosed with like Ehlers-Danlos syndrome because
Yeah.
my skin was not healing very well and like the hypermobility. But then, so when you have a cyst has a core in it, and that keeps growing back if you don't take the core out. But they can't take the core out when it's infected because they can't, sometimes it's broken up. So they gave it 4 months. Then they decided to cut it back open. But this ended up being quite traumatic because they took me into a theatre room where I was awake. They cauterized the skin, and I vividly remember the smell of burning flesh. Like to this day, I can like it's somewhat, I guess, triggering because it was very like it was a horrible experience. And then after that, it took another 4 months to heal because my stitches burst. So it was just unlucky. So in total, it took nearly a year to heal this one wound. And after that started, that was when all the like fatigue, the joint pain, just general unwellness kind of started.
Something else that's not really talked about is the fact that when your body goes through trauma, it can actually cause more disorders.
Yep.
And it's such a struggle because, as well as that, is if the waiting lists weren't so long, in my opinion, and if doctors listened, it could be avoided.
Yep. But it's like crazy because, like, at the moment, all my blood tests, everything but my inflammation markers are coming back. No, everything's normal except my inflammation markers. And only one doctor has gone, this is weird. Like, you used to be really low and now you're constantly high. And I'm like, yes, I keep trying to say that. No one's listening. And he was just like, well, we need to look into that. And I was like, finally, someone's listening. And now I'm just waiting for the next set of blood tests to see if it's still high before they do more testing.
I think it can really make a difference finding, that one doctor that listens. It's something that I struggled with because I've spent the last year plus trying to get a doctor to listen to me when I'm talking about the fatigue and I'm talking about, the pain. And it took me getting a second rheumatologist to suddenly go, these are all markers of fibromyalgia. And he said, do you know about fibromyalgia? And I was like, no. And he told me, and I ended up getting emotional with him. And he felt bad. He kept apologizing. But I was like, I've talked about this with multiple consultants and no one's even mentioned it. Why did it take you, who's never met me, to suddenly say, you have this? It's such a weird feeling to be listened to and then getting a diagnosis from it.
It feels like weirdly bittersweet.
Yeah.
Because finally you're like, oh, now I know what's wrong with me. But then you go to the next bit of how do I cope with it? Which with fibromyalgia is a massive guessing game, really.
Very much so. How do you cope with the mental shift of going from an athlete to someone with a chronic illness?
In all honesty, I didn't. It was really difficult. I mean, even now I still struggle like every day in terms of I've just taken 2 weeks off work to rest because download wiped me out. I started swimming again because that's quite a gentle exercise, but even that I couldn't do. So it's been a bit of it's kind of like just a constant uphill battle of balancing being depressed, but also not ending up putting myself in a flare up, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. I think it is difficult and having, having an invisible illness as well, there's so much judgment. People can see you on one good day and think that you're lying about the bad or it's not so bad. And it almost feels like you can spend your life defending yourself.
Yeah.
Well, we shouldn't have to. We should just be listened to. So, have you had people in your life question you or doubt you before?
Yes, I've had a few comments of, oh, but you weren't as bad as yesterday. Or you seemed better, so why is today a bad day? And it's then, it invalidates how I feel. And it's just like, well, because you can't see my pain, does that mean I'm making it up?
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, I'm definitely in pain. Like yesterday was just a better day.
Yeah, I think the doubts they can really hit home. And I think
I spent a long time trying to justify, I guess, why I could be classed as disabled now when a year ago I was a fine adult, healthy person, a relatively healthy person. So I spent a good 6 months going, I'm not disabled. I don't need help, even though And then that put me into a bigger flare up every time because I was overdoing it.
Yeah, I think that's an issue too, because you can find yourself pushing yourself even further, especially when the people around you are able-bodied, because you
Yes.
want to keep up with them. It's something I struggled with download on the Thursday and Friday, because my friends are all able-bodied and they could go on and they could go to the clubs and they could do that, and I hit my wall. And I didn't realize why. And it took until Friday where I sat with myself and said, I will not last the arena day if I don't give
Yeah.
myself rest. And
Yeah.
having to explain that to people is difficult. I'm lucky. I have a really good female friend who, really did support and defend me, but I had another friend who didn't get it. And it almost puts you in this awkward position of doubting those almost friendships or people you cared about because
Yes.
they're not getting it.
Yeah. I have to admit, I'm very lucky. My closest friends, my best friend in particular, has chronic illnesses herself, so fully understood when things were going wrong and was able to. She gave me that extra support, so I'm very lucky for that. But yeah, there's I have a disabled badge so that I don't have to walk as far sometimes, and sometimes the looks you can get because you get out of your car and you look fine, and it's like you just can't see that. You can't see that I'm parking closer so I don't have a flare up.
Yeah. I think that, and for me, like, I don't drive, but buses are a nightmare. Like, for a
Yeah.
long time, would always avoid the first two disabled seats because the minute, in my experience, an older person would come on and you'd almost have to, like, I would put my headphones on, look away. I'd have my walking stick, I'd have my sunflower lanyard, and that still felt like it wasn't enough because of age.
Yes. Yeah, I felt like that on the when we went to see Bill Murray the other day. Like I needed to sit down, and there was a seat, but I just felt bad because there was someone else that might have needed it more than me. But I was like, no, just because I don't look it doesn't mean I'm not struggling internally.
I do think we can like hit that kind of wall and realize, hey, this is a need, and advocating for yourself is so difficult, but you
It
hit
is.
that wall and you're just like, no, I need this. I'm an advocate for myself.
It's when it's like there's moments where I'm like, if I don't sit down, I'm gonna pass out, and that's gonna be worse and more embarrassing. So can I just sit down?
It is so difficult for me. A big one is festival and gigs, where now that my disability is deteriorating, and I've noticed that I'm more wary of the crowd than I
Yeah.
used to be. So is that something that you struggle with in a crowded room at a metal gig?
To be fair, I have had a lot of like surgeries on my face. So after I had all those surgeries, I became too nervous to go into the crowds anyway. Because I had my jaw broken and my nose fixed, and then I was like, I don't really want to go through that again. But it's definitely gotten worse now because I'm more aware. I can't just get out. Like I used to get into pits, and it used to be great fun.
Yeah,
But now it's just like that thing of once I'm in that crowd, how easy is it to get out? What's my like exit strategy basically? So
yeah.
now we just get seated or go to the back.
Yeah, I feel like when you have a disability, you learn the best routes, and it tends to be for me, I go way to the side, be to the left. Lately, it's been more to the right. I don't know why I've changed direction, but like when I saw Motionless and White, me and my group went straight to the wall, and we were just hanging around the wall. But yeah, I feel like you do learn very quickly, like, let's not go to the center. Let's not go to the front. It's why I advocate so much when people talk about getting barricade, but then they don't want to carry crowd surfers at a metal gig. You're
Yeah,
gonna get that. You may not want to, but
it's
you're gonna
part of
get
it.
it. And if they fall on you, you're gonna get hurt. So being at the back, although sometimes it can suck, or being in the side can sometimes suck, at
Particularly
least
being
then
short as well.
yeah. Also, you can get great photos on the side, zoom in and get the whole face.
It looks like I was at the barrier the whole time.
Literally, like the amount of times I've had a little video and people are like, you were so close. And I'm like, yeah, so close. Couldn't even see them in real life, but like on the video, it looked so good.
Yeah.
What I also love is I've noticed recently a lot more people in the alt scene are more so being proud of their AIDS. what,
Oh yeah,
walking mobility aids. Not necessarily showing them off, but you should. You have a mobility aid, the best kind of accessory. And
definitely.
I love that. Like I actually looked back at my Instagram and saw many years ago, I think it was like 3 years ago, is when I started putting stickers on my walking stick.
Wow.
And I bought like a pack of Gothic stickers, and all the walking sticks I saw, they didn't fit my aesthetic. It was very
Yep.
sunflowery or, you know, just plain. So I was like, no, I'm going to
Yeah.
make this my own. And then last year at Download, I was giving away stickers, and there was a younger girl, probably late teens, early 20s, and she had a mobility aid. And I was like, "Hey, do you want a sticker?" And she's like, oh, cool. And then I said, I actually put them on my walking stick. And she was like, I didn't even think about that. Like, I've been feeling really self-conscious, but that could make it like me.
Get
And I was
better.
like, that's why I did it. And it's like almost showing
Amazing.
other people they can accessorize it, you know?
I think I don't want to say that's where I'm lucky, but because being only in the last year, it's become more people have made. So I got mine off Etsy, and it already had all the stickers on it. So mine's got like bats on it. So I
And
didn't I didn't even think about putting stickers on a normal one.
there is a few companies that I've seen lately that are absolutely beautiful. So I have my main one, which is bats, and then I have pink bat. But I've seen a lot more companies are now making their own versions, and we love that.
Yeah,
Like finally
yeah.
something for alternative people.
Give some alternative girlies and pay people their mobility aids that suit what we want.
And it fits. And also the fact that you can also like almost hire some people, and you can get carved ones. Like I've seen a few
Yeah,
carved ones like crows on, and I think
that's
that's
pretty sick.
really cool too. Like
Definitely.
this is not an ad, we're not getting paid for this, but everyone go check them out on Etsy. They're amazing. I really appreciate you coming on and talking to me. If it's okay, have one more question.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
if someone's listening in and they're in that first year of being diagnosed, do you have any advice for them?
Take it slow, look after yourself, and it's okay that you can't do what you could do before. You will like find a new outlet. For me, it's become makeup. So instead of running, I'm playing with makeup every night. So yes, it may feel like the end of the world, but I promise you it's not. And even if your health might not get better, the way you cope with it and the way you deal with it and the right people around you will make it feel better.
And
I
I
guess
love
that's kind of
well, that's lovely because it's so true. And I feel like when you first get diagnosed, you kind of feel like the world is ending.
yep.
You realize that your life will never be the way it once was,
Yes.
and it can feel
A
so
very
lonely.
scary, expensive, scary experience
Yeah,
and isolating.
very. And the added expense too is very
Yeah.
frustrating.
Yes.
But I really appreciate you coming on and being so
No,
open
thank you for
with
having
me.
me.
This has been Backstage Brainrot, and yeah, go check out Kirby. I will make sure to add username and stuff, and check out her makeup content. It is incredible. Bye, guys.